Looking back, I knew nothing about owning a business. I knew nothing about running a pharmacy. I mean, I was a pharmacist, so I knew that part of it. But at that time when I did it, I just remember thinking like, God, don't people just want to be taken care of by people? And I think like if I could just take care of people and make them feel like I care, that it's gonna work.
Today's guest is Tom DePietro, pharmacist, business owner, and a fierce advocate for patient care. As the founder of DePietro's Pharmacy in Dunmore, he's spent 14 years building a business rooted in community first, building trust through important conversations and focusing on the customer experience. Tom is a true family man who blends clinical experience with a people-first approach, treating patients like family and leading his team the same way. He's a husband, a father, and a visionary leader who's committed to doing things differently and doing them right.
So let's talk about you. Can we talk about you?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a shame to have you come here. And
Tom
Right.
DePietro in the studio finally after a year plus of asking.
Yes.
Finally here.
busy man. But I hope you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I
because
think we could figure it out. We have a lot to talk about.
it sounds like you have a lot going on.
Yeah. It was our 14th anniversary. So Friday we celebrated our 14th anniversary for the business.
Congrats.
So we had, customers come in and, did some nice giveaways, and it was really like rewarding. And I think it's like timely to sit here today, right after that Friday event, because I really like spent the weekend just like reflecting on like how long it's been and like what a journey it has been since like day zero till now.
Yeah. I think that's one of the cool parts about doing a podcast is people tend to walk out of them going like, yeah, coming into it, you gave some thought. You're so busy. You don't get that time to sit down. You just said like
Right.
to think or work on yourself. And so when you're kind of forced because there's a date on the calendar, right?
Yeah.
It's great. And then some of the things that we might talk about, you might drive home today, go, yeah, that brought up, I forgot we were going to do that. Let's go back and look at that.
Totally.
Maybe that challenges us to be really intelligent, but we'll do our best.
We'll try.
So what's going on with your world right now? There's so much. People talk about healthcare, 2026 healthcare costs going through the roof. I mean, you must have so much to say. I don't know where you want to start.
Yeah. Healthcare is so confusing. So when I opened the pharmacy 14 years ago, it was after work, and I graduated pharmacy school, and then I took a job with the chain pharmacy. And it was at that point where I was just like, man, like I went to school for like so long to like interact with people, but like now I'm doing this. And like this was just like, I found myself like, getting like a credit card unstuck out of like the tube for the drive-through. And I said like, screw this, like I'm not doing this anymore. And I called my dad and I said like, I'm going to go back to school and do something else. And he's like, what? You just graduated pharmacy school. Like you just got this job. Like you're not even a year into it. But I just felt like it was so impersonal that I couldn't do it. So then after, I loved interacting with the people, but I just like felt like I was just like a man of like, a yes man for like some corporation. And then I worked for GlaxoSmithKline as like a pharmaceutical rep, and that brought me in and out of pharmacies. So it was a pharmacy team. So I was just like from Scranton all the way down to Allentown going into pharmacies with the goal of just like engaging the pharmacist. And it was at that time that like every pharmacy I walked into, like the pharmacist was too busy to talk to me and too busy to talk to the customer. So I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? Like every single pharmacy I go in, everybody's too busy to talk to the patient. So then that's when I was like, okay, here it is. Here's the final plan. I'm going to try to open my own pharmacy. And if that doesn't work, then I will indeed go back for something other than pharmacy. So that was like my third crack at it.
You
right?
burned the boats, right?
So I was, I failed at CVS, like not failed at CVS, but it like didn't really move me.
CVS failed you.
Yeah, it didn't move me. And then like my job with a pharmaceutical company was like an eye opener of like, hey, is there anyone talking to people here? And if not, I want to be the pharmacy that's going to talk to people. So yeah, 14 years ago, decided to open my own pharmacy. Looking back, I knew nothing about owning a business. I knew nothing about running a pharmacy. I mean, I was a pharmacist, so I knew that part of it. But at that time when I did it, I just remember thinking like, God, don't people just want to be taken care of by people. And I think like if I could just take care of people and make them feel like I care, that it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I convinced myself that like that would be the case. And, looking back on it, we have been successful thus far. But man, like, I don't know if I would have done it today. Like, would you open it today if you had that opportunity? You have so much history. Now you have so much experience to look back and make that decision. But yeah, I mean, since 14 years, I feel like I've advocated for prescription insurance reform. That's probably one of the biggest things that I dislike about this industry is pharmacy benefit managers or the insurance companies that pay us. So, if I fill a prescription for Maria, she hands me her insurance card. It might say like Blue Cross Blue Shield on it, but on the back it might say Express Scripts, and like they're one of the three largest pharmacy benefit managers. So they are like three of the largest PBMs account for 80% of the prescriptions that
Wow.
are filled in the country. So I think that, if anything, we truly need reform. They're paying us below cost on prescriptions. They force people to use their, mail orders that they own. So just like that part of it, like the insurance side of it is kind of disgusting to see. But man, just being able to be there for, a mom or, a caregiver, building relationships, that's what I truly enjoy the most about it. And then when I started the business, it was just like me, my wife, and technician. And now I'm up to like 30 employees. So, seeing like the ripple effect of like, you're able to hire this person, they're able to take care of their family, they're able to support their family, we're able to sponsor, their kids' little league team. Like it's really cool. Like, the whole community aspect of it. I had no idea going into it that we were gonna, be have like so much at stake. Like we would create these relationships, sponsor these teams, and I think that's like if you told me 14 years ago, I would have all of these awesome relationships because of opening the business. That's something I didn't expect.
Well, I think probably your personality and where your interests lie and the actions you took during those 14 years made that part of the deal. Like you could have also opened it up and closed it in 14 months because you didn't blend and integrate into the community and support
Yeah.
your customers, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think everybody does that. I see when I go to charitable things, I see the same faces around, no matter it's a different organization, but we all sit on the same boards and
Yeah.
the
That's a
money
good
comes
point.
from the same people.
Yeah.
It's a frustrating thing to me, but I'm tired of pushing on that string and trying to change it.
Yeah.
It's a difficult task, but I'm glad there are folks out there like you, community minded, that are willing to do anything you can.
Yeah, and it was like prior to even being opened, I remember like a close friend now, they were having a benefit for his daughter. She was diagnosed with cancer. And I was like, okay, so like people are gonna come into the business and like look for baskets, look for donations, look for sponsorships. That's cool. And I saw that like right before we even opened. And then like now like every year we'll, participate in certain events or like every year, donate to certain things. So, you know, being able to like build upon those relationships has been like extremely rewarding as well. And then when you look at like, the list of people that you're able to help at the end of the year, especially like now, like trying to gather all the information for taxes, right? It's like, wow, like it's really such an impact when you get to see it written down all on paper. Like, look at all the little leagues, all these high school
Yeah.
teams, all these nonprofits, and like that they do so. They also then run with that, right? So they might take my $500, your $500, and like 10x that, and like do so much good for our community. And like this is where we live, right? This is where we live. This is where our kids go to school. We see each other in the grocery stores. We go to church together. Like this is Northeast Pennsylvania, and like
Yeah.
that's what I'm so proud of. Like when I say like I'm from Northeast Pennsylvania, like if you don't live here, you don't know what that means. But if you live here, you know what that means.
Yes, that's true.
I like it. I mean, you can sit in church, you can be at a restaurant, you can be wherever. high school event or something and like look around the room and like I donated to that person and I helped these people out. I it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But you should consider like, I don't know if you do a donor advised fund or a charitable fund.
No.
That might be a nice thing for you. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but at Stonehouse, we actually dedicate, we've committed to a certain percentage and we push that in like every quarter. And then what we think about throughout the year is how do we want to disperse that money? So we kind of, because it can get out of hand, right?
Oh yeah, it could get out of hand.
And I hate to do it, but like you just, once you get known as somewhere that gives, that you get asked twice as much, if not 10 times as much.
Very true.
And it's almost like, it's almost like when you go to church and they say, you should be here more often. Like you feel good and then you feel bad again.
Yeah. It's funny because I was just talking to my uncle about that Friday, actually, because he was saying like, oh yeah, like we submit the stuff, sometimes to the newspaper and then it gets published. I said, I understand that, but like sometimes when you put your name out there, it ends up coming back 4 times. Like you get asked 4 times as much.
Yeah.
But to your point, it is. And it is challenging because we would love to say yes to everybody.
Yes.
But then like, like I said earlier, like the challenge in my industry is like for every dollar we take in, we keep a nickel of it. Right. So for every dollar we take in, like the insurance companies let us keep a nickel. So like I say, like we're doing magic tricks here. Like we're trying to like make dollars appear out of the nickels that are left by the insurance companies. And I'm not even joking. It's a challenging business to really be able to give back because, grant, like if I was making 30 to 40% margins, then it's easy to give back. But when my net profit margin's 5%, there's not much to go around. And then also like, because of how misunderstood healthcare is, so many people think because I own a pharmacy that I'm quote unquote rich, but like we're busy, but I still have all these bills to pay. I have, 30 families to feed. We have healthcare benefits, insurance, electric, gas bill,
vehicles.
Yeah, vehicles. So when it's all said and done, it's hard, but it is very rewarding. And that's probably what I like about it the most is like just being involved in the community, being involved in people's decisions that they have to make. Some people are picking insurance. Some people are picking doctors. Do I stay local? Do I go to Philly because my mom just got diagnosed with cancer? So like, that's the humbling thing is like, they're turning for us, whether it's something as serious as like choosing a doctor for a new diagnosis of cancer, or like they need a new insurance plan, or they have a question about like what specialist they should see. So like that's truly so rewarding is to like be there for them in all times of need, right?
And you're making the time
to
talk to them, which the other pharmacists weren't doing, right?
And I mean, and that's that's just it too. Like, and I tell my staff, like, look, if we're say we're gonna do something, like if we're say we're different and we're gonna treat them like family, we better be doing that. Because like owning a business, man, it's as hard as it is to build a reputation, it's very easy to lose it. So you get one person that's pissed off and maybe didn't have a good experience. They take that to Facebook or Google, and then it gets legs. So, really just trying to stay in front of the people, letting them know that we're here for them. That's been what we've been saying we're about. So we have to just continue to do that. I think now too, I don't know if it's just the environment today, but like healthcare is so fast paced and rushed. Everything seems to be so fast paced and rushed that people just want to be able to like stop for a second and ask a question and not be worried if it sounds stupid. Like I can't tell you how many times somebody will ask me a question and they're like, I have a question, but it might be stupid. Like, I don't know why everyone needs to paraphrase that, right? I'm not an expert on everything, right? You're not an expert on everything, but like, we should be able to ask each other a question without paraphrasing it with, it might be stupid,
Right.
but like, so like.
It might be because we're in information overload. We can access information 24/7 from our phones. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the answer that you're looking for. Sometimes we need somebody who does know more to filter out all of that amount of information and narrow it down. Because you feel like an idiot. I should know the answers are all right there. But how do you navigate all those answers?
Yeah. And and I think that that is a good point because we have so much information that is available. But I often say to customers, Maria, like whatever answer it is that you want to find, you could find it. So if you want to find something that says like this drug is good for you, or you want to find something that this drug is bad for you, you'll find it. You just
Absolutely.
gotta prompt the right question, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I just feel as though like a study recently came out, and I don't know the statistics, but it was more than 40%. So more than 40% of consumers don't know where to turn to when it comes to drug pricing. And then there was another one that basically said like a majority of people were overwhelmed navigating healthcare alone. Right. So people don't know where to turn to when it comes with drug pricing. People don't know where to turn to navigate healthcare. And we find ourselves right in that little sweet spot, right? Because we're either we're their visit before the doctor's appointment or we're their visit after the doctor's appointment. And then we're like that first touch of who they get to ask that burning question to. Like, man, I just left the doctor's office. I wish I asked him X. Or, I wish I thought to ask X. But then the second they come to the pharmacy, we're their first stop. So then we get that question. So like it's interesting to be like right alongside the pulse of the customer as they navigate whatever it is they're navigating.
Wow. That's a beautiful spot to be in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of
and
pressure.
Yeah.
a lot of pressure. And you have to find a way to continue to support the patient. Like we've cried with people, we've laughed with people, and it's hard. It's hard to just like pick back up and keep the interactions going because like, we'll fill anywhere from 800 to 1,000 prescriptions today. And as busy as the day is and as hectic as the day is, you're going to have that moment where you're going to have to stop and give that customer your dedicated attention. And then you're going to have to kind of get back on the horse and just keep working. So, you catch yourself in these moments, like these moments of time, and like they're beautiful little moments, but then you also have to get back and do the mundane stuff, that might not light you up.
Can I ask you a stupid question? See what I did there? No, hopefully not a stupid question. A lot of times people come in and I don't want to say recreate the wheel, but they say, I'm not going to go to the big pharmacy or whatever your industry is. I'm going to do it a little different. And sometimes they have success. And if they do, and just like yourself, you've had success doing things a little bit different, doing more like the way you designed and you think, if I'm the customer side, this is what I want, right? At some point, as you begin to grow and have success, you start to morph into the bigger ones that you wanted to get away from so fast. How do you keep yourself staying in that type of framework that you really want to operate in without crossing over to the dark side?
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I think that's a great question, and I kind of,
Yes.
I think I've kind of been, in a way, Bob, stuck because for the past couple years, we've kind of like from a business standpoint, like as a businessman, I'm like, man, like we're at the same sales the past 3 years, right? And I'm like, how do I like break this ceiling? How could I break this ceiling? But then I think, am I at the ceiling because of the service component of it? So it's tough because I want to continue to grow, but I don't want to grow and then offer bad service because I want my customers who come today to feel like they were my customers that came 8 years ago.
Right.
So the challenge that has been the challenge, but I think the challenge is growing, bringing in people who understand the mission, right? So your staff need to understand the mission, your day one mission, because a lot of them don't see day one. Prior to opening, like I went knocking door to door in the projects in Dunmore for customers, and I just had to remind a couple of the staff members that last week.
What does that look like, knocking on door to door?
It looks exactly like it sounds. You're going to knock on door to door and ask them if they had a pharmacy, if they'd consider switching to a new one. And it wasn't fun, but we did it. We had a hot dog party in the projects for customers. But all that hard work, like it's easy for me to remember and them not to see it. So you kind of have to pull them into that every so often to let them know what it was like in the beginning, because all they see is like this real busy pharmacy that has 30 people employed.
Right.
They weren't there when it was me and my wife and my one technician waiting for the door to open. So yeah, I think like,
That's interesting.
getting
Mhm.
getting the people trained, keeping it as a culture of that we're going to help people. And then honestly, like, filtering in technology. So we have 2 robots, like, so investing in technology. We have a robot that organizes and packages medicines based on time and day of dose. And we organize at least over 700 people's medications in their home. Then we have like a robotic vial filling robot in the front of the store that fills our fastest, like 225 moving drugs. We have 3 robotic data entry bots that are typing prescriptions in the store. We have like a light up bag system. So like if you come to pick up your prescription, we would type in your name and the bag starts to light. So I guess I've also like leaned a lot on technology to allow us to be able to grow, but then also offer, that personal touch to the customer. Because honestly, like if we didn't have those features built into the system, I don't think the system would be able to give the output that it gives.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My God, he's like the Elon Musk of pharmacy.
So yeah, like leveraging technology has been a huge reason that we've been able to grow.
So this is a really random question,
Yeah.
but so one of the things that I always find frustrating is when you come back from a doctor's appointment, you're going in for some prescription, and then it happens to be one of those busy moments of the day, and there's people in line, and you wait your turn, right? And then you finally get up there, and like, oh, we don't have anything. It wasn't called in, or something like that. Is there anything? Have you ever had like you probably can't do it for HIPAA reasons, but like some identifying factor, like you'd say like brown, and you could say like in progress or received call, like up on the board, like watch the horses run kind of a thing. So this is probably ridiculous. We should probably edit this out.
We're giving all of us competition.
Yeah, nobody will do that.
No.
It's kind of a neat, 'cause, I mean, there's been numerous times in my lifetime, not all, but you're sitting there, like, I picked something up for my mom, and they're like, oh, they didn't call it. And usually it's just they haven't checked the machine or, checked it yet. Or, you guys don't, this is old school. But like every once in a while, the doctor forgot to call it in.
Yeah, no.
Called it to the wrong place.
I think like that, though, these types of frustration points is like where I challenge myself. Like, okay, if these are the friction points that the customers dislike, what is it that we could do to them or for them so we're not the same?
Yeah.
And, that's the one of the challenges is, there's so many different moving parts in this industry. And we'll say like, we might be wrong 1 out or 2 out of 10 times, but 8 out of 10 times, like we don't even have the choice. Like it might be your doctor didn't send the prescription, or he didn't send the refill, or your insurance company doesn't cover the product, or your insurance company told us that it's $80. Like there's so much of what we do in a day that is totally outside of our control.
Yep.
That if we don't control what we could control, we're screwed.
Yep.
Like we're screwed from Jump Street because of everything that's already going against us. The insurance doesn't like the hospital system might have their own mail order that they want to fill the prescription at. The doctor's office is getting dinged because he didn't send enough to their mail order pharmacy. So like what we're up against in a day, it's like an army.
And you're the front line.
And we're the front line. But yeah, I mean, to your point, there are, I think, totally tons of frustration points in retail pharmacy that needs to get shaken out. My friend yesterday, who's a pharmacist, he doesn't work as a retail pharmacist, but he was in Philly and he said, I'm picking up my sick kid's prescription. I can't believe like the pharmacist won't even like go and look for my kid's like Tamiflu. He's more worried about like this customer, over here is yelling about something. But so it's those types of interactions or stories that I hear that kind of like it challenged me to improve. So like, okay, if Bob's saying like this is an issue at his pharmacy, and my friend Ray is saying like this is what happened when he went to pick up his prescription yesterday, then I already know that that's definitely a pain point for so many people. So how do we come out and fix that? But some of the stuff is controllable, but some is not. And I just think like it's just the path of least resistance. You have all of these people that are like being cared for by one physician and one nurse. Of course she's going to forget to send in one prescription, but man, that sucks to be yours. It sucks when it's your prescription.
Yep.
And, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, the nurse didn't send in the prescription, or you could do it the professional way. And you could say, hey, what office did you leave? Let me see if I can give them a call quick. Because there's enough that's going to go wrong in a day on purpose. So then like when an error happens, I try to like, just smooth it over for the patient so they know that you have their back. The other day, there was a guy in the pharmacy and he was waiting for his CVS pharmacy to get his eardrop for 3 days. And I said, like, at what point do you need a different pharmacy? Like, I think like, an eardrop for 3 days is a little unacceptable.
Loyalty.
Yeah. But like, so it's a challenging industry to operate in.
It'd be great. It's just, again, maybe you guys have a text. Like you probably have everybody's phone number, right? So rather than putting it up on a board, if you just texted them, we received your thing, your prescription, that's probably, okay, good. I know it's in there at least. But the problem is like when you're picking up for a family member, they're getting a text.
Right, or you didn't get it.
There's a million things. 10,000 times more. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Like you said something, and I'm going to misquote you, but you said something that really perked my interest about the basically the profit margin, the what they keep and the PBMs and stuff. I've always complained about our universities, our education, our secondary education. Since I've been an adult, if not sooner than that, the government has done a bang up job giving us vehicles to save more money for college. Little tax advantage here or there, like reasons to fund the heck out of it, but never addressed the cost of college. And it just continued like it. As a financial planner, we would say, oh, we're going to plan for inflation and this. Oh, but your tuition cost for your kids is like 3 times that. That's jarring, but no one ever addressed that. Hey, let's keep costs down. So I feel like that is just continuing to happen, and the spread gets more and more every year between what people can afford versus where costs are going. So I'd really like to dive into that. When you said something about some of the stuff they want us at cost or below cost. Can you explain that a little bit more, whatever you're willing to?
Yeah, I mean it's a convoluted industry, but in short, my pharmacy is contracted with a majority of insurance companies. Through a larger, we contract with what's called the Pharmacy Services Organization, PSAO. And then they go and signed us up for like 98% of the contracts that are out there, right? But in those relationships or in those contracts are essentially take it or leave it contracts. Like, okay, you want to be able to fill for this insurance company, then here's our rate. There's no like what a normal business person would know as like negotiation. Like we wouldn't be able to say, hey, I can't sell it at that. I'm going to lose money. They don't care. You either sign it or you don't sign it. You either do business with them or you don't do business with them. So it's these take it or leave it contracts that continuously get worse and worse over the years, now to the point where we may be filling a prescription that I might have bought for $1,000, and then the insurance company gives me $950 back. So like we're literally losing $50 to fill the claim. There's been many pharmacies that had to stop taking certain insurance. Some pharmacies don't take insurance at all. There's a new model of pharmacy called cost plus pharmacies. They're just selling the medicine that they bought at their cost plus a fee, and they're marking it up like $10, $15 fee. So, the changes are becoming more and more necessary because of how egregious the insurance companies are getting. And, my fear is that yeah, you might be able to get by, getting your prescriptions at the local chain pharmacy, and that might be sufficient for you. A majority of our customers need a pharmacist, right? Like, they don't need a pharmacy to stop and get, Prilosec and a jug of milk on their way home from work. Like, we're talking about like a lady where we're organizing 18 different drugs for her, and we manage her medicines in, easy open pouches because she's not able to determine what she takes in the morning. So, like, I say, like, our customers need a pharmacist, not a pharmacy. Um, and that's what we pride ourselves on. So for those patients though, like, where are they going to turn to? Because they're not just getting pills and bottles from us. They're not just getting, you know, one drug from us and then like seeing them in a month. We're dealing with like complex patients. So my concern is, where are they going to go if it's only the chain pharmacy that's an option for them? Because I know they don't even answer their phone, and I'm not picking on them, but that's what they do. They don't answer their phone. So like, if my grandma needed a prescription or had to ask the pharmacist a question, you mean to tell me like she's going to call, leave a voicemail, and then someone's going to call her back and answer a question? Like, how stupid
3 days
is that?
later.
Yeah. And I mean, like, when they told me that that's like that's the new thing that they're doing at the chain pharmacy, where you just leave a voicemail and nobody picks up the phone at all. I thought, like, how far away from center are we getting?
It's like a service center instead of a
Right.
call center instead of
Yeah, but so basically, Bob, the pressures from the insurance companies are really putting the screws to, regardless of the pharmacy, whether it's a chain pharmacy, a small pharmacy like mine, they determine the reimbursement. Right now it's finally been the loudest that we've ever heard about reform. So recently, federal legislation was passed. It was like the first meaningful reform that was ever passed. And I'm telling you that I've been advocating for 13, 14 years. So to actually now, people know what a pharmacy benefit manager is. I think the country is waking up, understanding that healthcare is not what it appears to be. Like, it's not this safe little space where I should go ahead and listen to my doctor because he has my best interest in mind. I think the world has kind of been aware now. They've kind of been woken up. And this is a topic that I hate to even discuss, but it's telling. And I think it's telling because it shows you where the pulse of America is. It was a tragedy when the United Healthcare CEO got shot and killed. Absolute travesty, right? But what you could take from there is half of the country is celebrating a death. I mean, half of the country is celebrating a murder. So if that doesn't tell us that there's something wrong with healthcare, I think we should just have to understand that for people to be celebrating what could possibly be the worst thing that could happen in an American life, it just goes to show you. I really think that consumers want change when it comes to healthcare. You had talked about the colleges. We could talk about healthcare the same too, right? Like, if the government is going to subsidize the entire cost of healthcare, or the government is going to subsidize these colleges, but then the government decides that they're not going to subsidize them anymore, well, all that money is going to have to come from somewhere. We didn't fix anything by throwing government money at it. So we didn't fix anything with the health insurance world when we just gave the insurance companies all this money to offset premiums and say, hey, everyone should have insurance and the government's going to pay for it. Okay, well, what do we do when they stop paying for it? Same with college, right? Like, everybody's going to go to college. Everybody should go to college. How's everybody going to go to college? We can't afford it. Well, the government will subsidize it until they can't. And now they can't. And now you have all these, local colleges, clinging to the edge of their life, and then you have the bigger colleges buying out the little colleges, so then nobody compete with the big college because everybody that's medium sized gets bought out. So I think it's interesting because the healthcare insurance industry is dealing with what the college industry is dealing with right now at the same time. And I think it's because they have artificial money subsidizing them.
I think we have a history of using government money to fund solutions, and then those solutions change every 2 to 4 years, depending on who's in control of the purse, right? And so like, we'll do this, we'll throw money at it. No, that's bad. No, we're going to throw this in. So I don't, and I'm the last guy to talk about.
And they can't change their
side.
sales quick enough, right? You can't change your sales quick enough to like pivot.
Right.
So then
as a business, so then you get in the middle like a
so then you get like these health, or you get like this, these college systems who kind of like, they were running after this for the last 4 years. Now they're going to run after this for 4 years. So before you even know it, you take those 4 years, these 4 years, that's 8 years. And then you take like, I don't know, give 3 or 4 years in between. So there's like 12 years that whole industry is going to be like lost in its way.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good, valid point. Do you think that when you're talking about in your industry, do you think there's too many hands touching from moment of diagnosis and recommendation or prescription to the time it actually goes into the patient's hand to take home?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the whole insurance industry, right or wrong, the leverage that they have and then the money that is exchanging hands at their level, I think it got so big that the numbers from a grand scale, the numbers that they control are just so big that if they don't try to force it in their way, like they just can't help themselves.
Yeah, that's problematic.
That's
I mean, it's been there forever, but it's problematic.
Yeah.
What's the solution?
Yeah, and I think when you hear that question, what needs to happen is the vertical integration. The fact that one system could own a hospital, a provider, a pharmacy, a lab. Oh, they also own the payer. They own the insurance company. The whole vertical integration of healthcare is what ruined it. It would take a long time, but I also believe the only way to fix healthcare is to peel some of that control away from them. Like I can't imagine you could have one company that owns each and every piece within the healthcare space. So I think like for simplest terms, I think vertical integration needs to get undone.
So do you unwind it back to the old model, or do you think there's a different model?
It's going to be interesting, right? Because I think if you look
at like, it's not fair to ask you for all the solutions.
But if you look at drug pricing, for example, granted, there are certainly expensive medications that you and I would require some sort of insurance to be able to afford, right? So I'm not talking about that drug. I'm talking about everyday drugs that might cost a few bucks, like a drug that cost anywhere from $1 to $15, right? There's a lot of drugs that fall in that window that cost me $0 to $15 to buy. The person who's using insurance to buy that doesn't necessarily need to use insurance to buy that. So I guess I would just try to compare it to a car, right? You have car insurance. And if you need a pair of windshield wiper blades, or you need spray for your windshield, like you don't go and get to use your auto insurance you don't bring your auto insurance into AutoZone and say, hey, I need a wiper, or I need a thing of juice, whatever they call it.
Right.
Windshield washer fluid. Windshield juice.
Maybe I should I never thought about bringing my insurance policy in. Though.
So you don't even consider it.
Yeah,
right?
We're trained.
But we have trained society that if it's going to be something that you want your insurance to cover it. Right. So we have like wellness supplements at the pharmacy that are very healthy for you. They're not covered by insurance, but people's first question is my insurance covering this? No. do you want to be healthy, or do you just want
Yeah.
do you just want something that your insurance is going to cover? Because I got news for you. If
Yeah.
it's health, then they're not going to cover it, right?
Right.
So I
That's
guess
the misconception. They assume if insurance is covering it, it is good for me and needed and necessary.
right.
Anything that isn't covered by insurance is unneeded, unnecessary, and a luxury.
Right. So I feel like if there's, I don't know how we could get there, but there has to be a mind shift
Mm-hmm.
of appreciating our healthcare expenses for what they are, instead of like, well, I only want it if my insurance will cover it. Like, we have people who are like, I don't know, maybe yo-yoing with like, I want to be on a GLP injectable only if my insurance covers it. Okay. The drug costs $1,200 a month. So now you have like employers or like self-funded employers who have X amount of people that now are like a $1,200 a month drug, times that by 12. Now you have like a $13,000 expense. So the conception of insurance needs to change, I think, for healthcare to change a bit, because we have this overutilization of very expensive stuff, and then probably like an underutilization of just something that could be $5 and you could be on your way and be out the door.
Mhm.
You know?
So how does your customer get educated on what deciphering that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was similar. Like, if you know how they say you vote with your dollar?
Yes.
How do we my question was similar to yours. How do we empower the everyday person to vote with their money and their choices and get the information?
Well, and for
to be
the
able to do
longest time, we had a gag clause in the state of Pennsylvania where, so even if I wanted to educate the customer that it would be cheaper without using their insurance, I couldn't tell them.
What do you mean?
So like, historically, you would come in, present your prescription, present your insurance card, and then the pharmacy had to basically operate under our insurance contract, right? So per that insurance contract was, well, you can't tell the customer if something is cheaper without insurance. You can't suggest that they go and don't use their insurance.
You were contractually obligated not to say anything.
Right. So then the pharmacist in the state kind of like lobbied our elected officials to say like, hey, there's this gag clause in our insurance contracts that like we would like to get removed. So now we could inform people. But so I guess like to your point, Maria, is like there's all of these little things that are in there, and when you come across it, you're like, well, of course the game's rigged then, right? Like, I can't even tell my customer to not use her insurance because it's cheaper, and they have a gag clause in there for me to have to be legally binded to not do the opposite. So it is so convoluted.
So that's gone now?
So that's gone now.
Okay.
That's gone now.
In Pennsylvania.
But what's not gone, so what we still have to,
That's a good point.
yeah, what we can't do, like, so say like oftentimes if we're going to lose $50, $60 on a prescription, like we just have to tell the patient that we can't get the medication. We're not allowed to tell them why. So like I would want to be like, hey, like I know you want to give me the business, but like I'm losing $70. So like I can't really fill this prescription. Most customers that I know would be like, yeah, I don't want you to lose that. I came to you to give you the business.
Right, exactly.
So like we can't tell them that the insurance company is not paying us properly. So we basically have to have like a little white lie and say like, oh, we can't get the product this month, or like, so that's like something I'm now trying to advocate for with our local, like our state elected officials, because, you know, it's wrong. And
that must be so difficult because you work so hard to do everything right for the customer and maintain their loyalty to you and vice versa. And then as a result of that, if it's medication they really need, they're going to then go to a competitor, and that is probably going to give them that.
Right.
And now they got to run the two pharmacies. Nobody wants to run the two different pharmacies.
Well, somebody gets screwed in that situation. Either the patient doesn't get the medicine or you lose money.
Yeah.
Geez, do you think the insurers know that?
Oh, yeah.
That's just wrong.
Oh, to what end? Why?
That is
Why do you
strong.
think that they are controlling every nuance?
Uh, so I mean, there's no secret, right? They own their own pharmacies. They operate their own retail pharmacies. They operate their own mail order pharmacies. So I mean, you look at it, and it was unfortunate what happened to Rite Aid, but what happened to Rite Aid, was not a mistake. I mean, they are a large pharmacy business without they did not have their own insurance arm. So the ones that are continuing to play have their own insurance arm, and the ones that don't, they don't have an insurance. They don't have an insurer. So
So how do you stay in the game like that?
volume, it's a volume driven business. So like in the past like 2 weeks, I've taken 3 phone calls from other pharmacy owners who are looking to get out of the business. And what's surprising to me is that it's just like they don't have the volume to support the losses. Like if you're not doing a huge volume, it's hard to offset the losses, offset the break evens.
Makes sense.
So it's a volume driven game, but then at that same aspect is you don't want to fall flat on the service component of it, right? So you can't say you're going to be different and not be different. So you have to continue to like show up when it comes to servicing your customer. If you're going to say you're going to service them, you better service them.
Meanwhile, you're just getting punched and kicked left and right.
Yeah,
And
and
still
like
be smiling to the customer.
yeah, and I think like over the years, and I talked to an owner yesterday, and what he said, it made sense. Is like COVID delayed the demise for many of these pharmacies because they were so busy doing the COVID vaccines that kind of like masked their pain for a couple years, right? And then you even have like some of that maybe spilling over for a year or two protection after the fact, and then like here we are now in 26, because like to field 3 phone calls in 1 week about 3 separate businesses that want to go out was very like eye-opening to me, on the cusp of having like my 14th anniversary party this Friday, and then I'm having these like side conversations during the same week. It felt very, I don't want to say unnerving, but I was so excited for myself, but then I was so heartbroken for these 3 individuals because like the writing is on the wall for their businesses and their livelihoods, and like to see what their numbers are.
So can I ask why they call you? Like, how does that work in your industry? Can they share their customer list and then you can mail them
No, I mean,
something?
I think locally, the one thing that's scary is I'm probably the youngest pharmacy owner in the area. So I'm 41. And then I think the statistic is like the average independent pharmacy owner is like 58 and older. So I just think like locally I've kind of like assembled everybody. I do a lot of like advocacy on our behalf as like a group of independent owners. So like when I first opened, independent owners were like very independent of each other. None of them talked.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird. Like I thought we'd like hang out, like go for a beer, talk about business. But all the owners were like very much independent. So it took me a while to like, I created like an email, like a group email with like, 20 some owners, and just like, hey, this is like what I'm working on. This is what I'm advocating for this week. And just let them know, like, look, I'm not your competition. Like, I want to be your colleague. Like, I don't want to like go after your business. I want to go after the insurance company, or I want to go after like the chain pharmacies business, not your business. So over the years, I've kind of like created what I call the independent. It's like a little Facebook group, Independent Owners of Northeast Pennsylvania. So I'm just, kind of like being proactive, like trying to give them encouragement, trying to get them to like look at other areas of their business that they might not be looking at. So I think to your point, then like naturally they call me because they see that I am, out here being aggressive with
Advocate,
my store. But I think like, I think once you like lose that fire inside, and you might have let the business go on a little bit too long, or they could have sold it, didn't sell it when the timing was right. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and I think we're gonna see more stores closed. And my joke with a congressman is like, we're gonna close all these pharmacies, and then the government is gonna be funding us. You're gonna be giving us grants to go and open a pharmacy because there's gonna be no pharmacies. So I said, like, it's all just gonna come back in a cycle where you're gonna be paying me to open a pharmacy because there's no pharmacy.
That is crazy.
It's crazy to think the government would do that,
Oh,
though.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
there's so much going on. I feel like you and I, you've said this in the past because you've helped both of us.
Yeah,
with
I've
stuff
worked
in
with
the
both
past.
of you for many years.
And I know you've often said you guys have similar minds, different industries.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way. You even mentioned having 20 some people and all their families, right? So I think of that at the end of the year, especially with raises and charity, and you could give, going back to the very first part of our conversation, if you give too much to charity, then you have some people that are like, geez, I could have used a little bit more of a raise or something, you know. And I noticed that you were there in a picture holding a big check for a charity. What about the blood, sweat, and tears I gave you the last 12 months, you know? So there's all that. But then what you just said rang true to me is I've always, the first 10 years of my business, everybody that did finance was like, oh, I'm going to take that guy out. I'm going to compete. The reality is I didn't really go into a lot of head-to-head competition with somebody for an opportunity. I look at everybody now as my peers, and I'd love to sit down with almost anybody in my industry and say, what do you love about your job? What's working? What's not? And sometimes, you know, if they hate their job so much, I'm like, come work with us.
Right.
We do it different. But if they love it, I'm like, what do you love about it? Like, and I might leave that conversation going, that's pretty cool. We could do that. And that's another thing we could tuck into our list of things, you know? And it feels like you're just always out there advocating, but also doing research on how you can get better. I like your attitude. It's tough to be one of the few out there, though. You are amongst some giants out there.
It's lonely at the end of the day. Like sometimes, you know, the staff is looking at you to make a decision, or, you know, you might have like held off a decision for as long as you could, but then, you know, it's lonely at the top, right? So ultimately, like, you're going to be the one that has to make the decision that's going to maybe be the fork in the road. Like, will this work out? Will it not work out? But like, it's your decision, you know, it's your call. So that's why, you know, being a business owner, I mean, man, I'm sure it's the same for you guys, but like, there's not much that you can't relate to, right? Like, so if you're watching football and it's 4th and 1 and the coach goes for it and doesn't get it, like, yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, you should have not went for it. But like, it's when you have to make that decision and it's your call, whether you like it or not, it's heavy.
Yep.
It's heavy.
You know?
Yep.
So speaking of that, you're a huge advocate for the industry. You are a business owner. You're in the community. You're also a father and a husband and a human. So what are you doing behind the scenes to stay focused, driven, energized? What do you do for you?
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, that's a great question. I feel like every year of the business, it kind of like evolves, right? So like when I first had the business, I didn't have any children. Now I have 3 children. So it was rewarding to have, you know, 3 of them there for our 14th anniversary, because I was just like flipping back at pictures of our grand opening, and they weren't even a thought then.
Yeah.
You know, so like these chapters of life also move, right? And that's also kind of, they're going to guide the business, even though you don't feel it guiding the business. Like your children, like your day-to-day life is impacting the business. So I've definitely became, my staff will say, less, I'm not as angry. I'm not an angry pharmacist.
You're mellowed out in your old age?
I'm mellowed out with 3 kids. And I think that I'm able to make kind of like less reactive decisions. So I feel like they've helped me introduce some less reactivity. Also, prior, you know, to the show, I was saying how I recently started CrossFit in June.
Here we go.
So I started CrossFit, and really it was just like, I was looking to just be active, right? And I was looking to challenge myself. And then when I went there, it was like chasing business all over again. It felt like opening the business all over again. But now instead of like improving the business, I'm improving myself. So I've had like a huge appreciation for like working at like my personal health and just like getting stronger and challenging myself to like do things that I normally wouldn't be doing, which is like just doing stuff that I'm not comfortable doing. And really just cherishing the time I have with my kids, especially the weekends to kind of like just get recharged for the week. But yeah, I feel like every like phase of the business can kind of continues to evolve as life changes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that being physically active, like exercising, you know, I wish I started 10, 15 years ago because I really feel like I was missing out on that.
So speak about personal health and supplements and probably other things that are in your store. Do you get a lot of people coming in and asking you questions about that? About their own, like, hey, this whey protein versus this type of protein?
Yeah, I think so many people have kind of like I don't want to say retreated to their home, but we were talking about this the other night. It seems as though not many people are going out for dinner. Not many people are like going to bars. Not many people are shopping after 5 o'clock. So to that point, no, I feel like a lot of people have kind of become recluse a bit. So we actually tried to just like go and do the opposite. We try to just like educate them on Facebook by talking at them. I think people love video and they love to hear it, but they don't want to be that person to ask, or they don't want to pick up the phone and ask, or they don't want to show up in the store with a question.
Or a stupid question.
Yeah. So we got to like
Yeah.
we got to figure out how to get people to ask the questions about how to be more healthy. Because I do feel like there are a lot of people that aren't leveraging exercise, or they're just avoiding exercise, or they don't have time for exercise. I mean, if I could tell myself anything, like at a younger version, like it doesn't have to be like, Tom, you got to go to the gym for an hour today. You just got to go and do something for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish I gave myself that little grace. Cause like for me, it would be like, okay, well, like if I don't go for an hour, it doesn't count.
Right. It's like
Or
all or
like
nothing.
all or
mentality,
nothing
yeah.
thinking. I have a big problem with that. But I think people just need to like kind of get like a little glimpse into like, it might not be like just this one multivitamin that you need to take. Like, yeah, everybody should take a multivitamin, but like, what about you? Like,
Mhm.
do you get a lot of sun? So I think tons of people are sleeping on supplements because they just, A, they don't know what to take. B, they don't have the like foresight to think about it. But then C, I think it's an investment that they just think like, oh, well, like I can't buy that, or like I can't spend money on that. But like it's our body and like we only get
Yeah.
one.
Right. It's our life force energy. This is the vehicle that is holding the thing that is
Right.
out in the world. This
Right.
is how we get to experience 3D life.
Yeah.
This is the vehicle.
But it's as if they hold that off for like, okay, well, like once I get my kids' clothes and then I get this and then I get this, then maybe I'll invest in that for me.
It's hard to play
Right,
catch up.
And
Yep.
to your point, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like go outside and get sunlight. Move your body a little bit. Like it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Right. I just think people get stuck. Like they're stuck in that.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this is a funny side story. My wife ordered we never order groceries to be delivered to our door, and she tried something, and all these bags showed up. We literally were gone for 10 minutes, and that's when they came. But we came in and we're like, oh, here it is. We're carrying it in. I'm like, why did you order this? And she's like, this isn't my order. It was somebody else's order, right? So we had to put it all back, and they came in. But we were joking, like, it's just chips and soda and candy. And I was like, who eats this? Who still eats all that? Like, I live in a household where it's this podcast. I mean, I'm just as guilty as my wife, but we all listen to that, and the Peter Attias and the Hubermans and all that stuff. Well, I guess I can't say that now. Like, he's in trouble too, but whatever. But it's just education and starting to learn what we could and couldn't eat. And, there's always this question of like, am I listening to somebody who's credible? And sometimes I feel like you can really educate yourself in a very positive way, but there's also, this is something that concerns me. I'll share you this story. I was talking to a young guy who was selling peptides, and he was packaging them up while at college. And he was really frustrated because he was getting jockeyed around because where he was listing it wasn't letting him sell them anymore. So he had to use AI to get a workaround. And then I was asking him about, like, where does he get his? I just source it. I don't think he really knows what's in that can that he's selling
It's
to people.
dangerous.
But he's okay because he's in his early 20s. I don't think he's thought about that ethical human part of it, which is really should be paramount, right? He's thinking from a business thing. I'm making some, I'm the middleman. And then I thought to myself, when I hung up that phone, he's a nice kid, but I thought, my God, how much have I ingested over time that I bought off a video or something like that? And so that's probably a huge part of your job, vetting all of that stuff,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That struck me. I really went home that day. I was like, man, I got to be careful about where I get my stuff.
Yeah.
and what's
Yeah. I
really
mean,
actually-
I had a customer bring in a vial and he's like, show me how to use this. I said, show you how to use this. I wouldn't show you how to use this if you paid me. And he said, what do you mean? I said, look at the vial. It's got Chinese imprints all over it. But yeah, I mean, I think that the other thing with the GLP craze and the peptide craze, and I feel like that's brought pharmacy back to the conversation so much because, like, at the forefront of everyone's decision seems to be like, should I start a GLP? So like there's not really ever a conversation that I have that doesn't involve that drug category, which makes pharmacy exciting, right? Like, as a pharmacist, like I think, back in the day, people were just like, oh, what do? You count pills. And like now it's like GLP, everybody knows GLP, right? So conversation and, just seeing people being able to get healthy, I think, and talk that also brings up the whole wellness conversation a lot. So for the supplements, the people that are kind of bringing up the supplement questions are the people that are on the GLP. They're investing in their health to like get some weight off. And now they're like, okay, they got their head shaken to the point where they're like, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I should do this.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are really like focused on wellness are probably coming in on a GLP, looking to get like some supplements on to stack with what they have. So, it's an exciting time in the industry because everybody's talking about PBM reform. There's tons of conversation about drug pricing, whether you like it or not. In this administration, they've made a point to focus on drug pricing. And then, everybody's on GLP, so it's an exciting time to be able to help people and like guide them to like a different version of themselves. And, you see people that are like 90 pounds lighter than they were, and they're just happy, loving life. And, they come in like thanking us for helping them get to this point. So it's really a rewarding profession. And it's the reason why I wanted to do it how I wanted to do it. Like, I didn't want to like go work at a chain pharmacy and let them tell me how to do it. Like, I wanted to do it how I wanted to do it for our customer. So that's been, looking back, being 14 years ago, I can't even believe it, but it's just like a unbelievable journey.
What's been more effective in your life that you've seen with people, GLPs or CrossFit?
Well, if you look at
That'd be a cool
if you look at all the people who are like CrossFitters, I'd say CrossFit, but for me it was both. I did the GLP first and I lost like 90 pounds.
Oh,
Wow.
you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lost like 90 pounds.
Well, now I feel guilty for
Wow.
like,
No.
I didn't mean to do a HIPAA violation.
No, that's okay. It's a good story because I think like when people hear it, they're like willing to listen a little bit.
Okay.
But they're like, oh, he did it, I could do it. But yeah, no, I mean, I lost like 90 pounds and then like, it finally gave me the energy to be able to say I want to exercise. I just could never exercise, right? So like our first customer that got a GLP, she was like 72 years old And here was the caveat. She needed a knee replacement, but she was overweight. But for her to get the knee replacement, she had to lose 40 pounds. Now, how the hell is she going to lose 40 pounds if
At
she needs
72 years old.
if she needs a knee replacement, right?
Right.
So we got her the medicine. The medicine allowed her to lose the weight. Now she got a knee replacement. So, she's a happy person. But I often think of her, Dolores, her name is. I always think of Dolores as like the reason why like the GLPs might even be in the marketplace is because not everybody could lose the weight.
Yeah.
That's a good story. And it's one that I often go back to because, the medications themselves are life-changing. Now, are they for everybody? No. But for the people that are like having some life-changing experiences, it's great for them. And, they're happy and they get momentum and then it leads to something else. Like for me, it's led to being active. Now, some people might not do anything, but for me, it just gives me the opportunity to do CrossFit, something that I would never have done in my life.
Yeah. Now you're addicted to CrossFit.
Now I'm
I guess that's
I'm addicted to CrossFit, and I say like it's for everybody. We all have the same body. It just might be a different, move that you could do. But yeah, I mean, it's been life-changing for me. I love it.
That's awesome.
What is next? Is there anything next? You said you were I thought I'm going to go back. You said you were kind of capped out. You were like plateauing. And is there expansion or?
I mean, I've thought about a second location. It's just the industry itself, like the insurance, just like the pharmaceutical industry is kind of what holds me back. Like I look at my current location and I think like, man, did I strike lightning in a bottle and just get lucky here? Or is it something that I could replicate? If I could replicate it, where would I want to replicate it? Who would be involved? What are the sacrifices? If I'm going to do that, what are the sacrifices that it's going to take? And that's kind of like where I feel like I get stuck because like I'm going to be 42 this April. I have 3 kids, 9, 6, and 4. I don't spend a lot of time. So I think that's what convinces me not to do the second location. But if it's not that, it's got to be something. I feel like I'm kind of like
you're a doer. You make shit happen.
Yeah, I'm like just kind of like at this point now where it's just like, okay, well, like if we are gonna be here, then what's another service line that we add into our existing store?
Right.
Yeah, is there a parallel?
So I might like grow our compounding line a little bit stronger. We're looking at possibly remodeling the inside of the store because of our foot traffic got a little bit busier. So, those are some things on the horizon. But hopefully, I mean, man, if we can get prescription drug insurance reform to happen, I think you'll see more pharmacies open, serving their communities. But until then, I just think it's going to be there'll be a lot more that go out of business in the next, 0 to 3 years.
Wow. What's something that everyday people can do to, I guess, I don't know. What could they be aware of? What can they do? What decisions can they make?
I mean, listen, I think most people that I know are not happy with prescription drug prices. If I do run into somebody that does have to use a mail order pharmacy or does use a chain pharmacy, I hear they're not happy. My thing is like, I know it sounds silly, but like if you called the congressman's office and just said like, hey, because the problem is like they'll tell us that nobody calls. It's just us calling. But I think, try to tell an everyday consumer to pick up the phone and call their congressman's office. Like, is that really going to happen? No. But I mean, it would help us because then at least it's customers calling and not just us. But, I say like, listen, if you're not happy about your wait time at your chain pharmacy, or you're not happy with like your insurance copay, or you're not happy that your drug's no longer covered, like call your elected officials and let them know, because like they don't get the noise of healthcare because we never are going to call them, right? We're not going to
question it.
I'm not going to like get home and like call my congressman because my copay was $70 on my prescription, but I'm going to bitch at my pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, well,
because you don't think a congressman has anything to do with that.
Right.
Like it just is what it is. You have to pay.
Yeah. And then
you just don't think you have a choice or a voice.
Yeah. And the lack of oversight and the lack of the lack of appreciation that the pharmacy benefit managers have of what they do to everyday citizens is so, I mean, they have no idea what they do, but I mean, we deal with people all day long, and all day long, people are about not being able to buy food, not being able to pay their bills. You know, they have a decision to make. Are they going to buy their food or are they going to get their medicine? Are they going to pay their bills or are they going to get their medicine? I mean, the that goes on in this country that I get to see firsthand, like, it's not right, you know, and wish that I could change it overnight. But man, I've been having the same conversations for 13, 14 years. Just frustrating.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. It could get better.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad now. So, I mean, there's
Right, yeah,
set
the
the bar
upside.
pretty low. But
Right, yeah.
the question is, if it starts to trend in a better way, does it continue down that road or does it get reversed and goes back?
Yeah, and I think you might see, like, I think for healthcare, and I just think it's gonna have to be like this. I think you'll see like concierge style healthcare really pop up because I know it. Like when I'm older, like I'm not gonna want to deal with like bad service. Like, here's your insurance card. You can only go where you're gonna be. You can only go to whoever takes this card, and you're gonna have to pay them the copay. Like, I think there's gonna be this whole little recreation of healthcare where it's gonna be like, no. I'm willing to pay for good. I'm not gonna take the status quo of what my insurance card gives me.
Right.
So I think you'll see like this, you know, private physicians, private pharmacy, just like private wellness space kind of like come up because people aren't going to want to deal with the.
But that's only good for a small percentage of people, right? They
Right.
can afford
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
So the masses.
Most likely. Yeah. The masses will fall where the masses fall.
Yeah. And those are the ones that really need to be taken care of.
Correct.
The policies.
Yeah.
So we got to vote. I mean, even voting doesn't necessarily take care of anything, right?
Mm-mm.
You know, it's just, it's a frustrating thing. That's why I said I related to college costs because, you know, you just grin and bear it. But all you can do is work within the environment that you're given. And it sounds like you're doing the very best you can. At least, you know, your heart's in the right place. You're getting good positive results and feedback and longevity in an industry that's proven to be wicked tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, there's something to be said with, you know, I try to say, like, look, we could hit singles all day long. I mean, if you have to win by just hitting singles all day long, you know, I wish the Yankees would try to figure that out. I mean, you don't always have to hit home runs to win. But yeah, I mean, our philosophy is to just hit singles all day long, take care of the customer. You're not going to get rich overnight. It's, you know, every prescription's only a couple bucks, but it's just, you know, make sure the customer's happy, then they send their family in. So yeah, hitting singles is my philosophy.
It's a wonderful philosophy. It's still a recipe for success. It's just ESPN doesn't show all the single hits.
Right. So, it would take too much time.
So you'll have to be your biggest fan. So
yeah,
that's great. But it sounds like it's working well. It sounds like it's working well for your family too. And with you focusing on your own health and well-being, it's actually probably giving you the energy to focus on the things you need to at work. And you've built a great team. When you talk about expanding into anything else, again, similar minds, I've thought through this myself. I'm more willing to, and we have, expand into a new spot on the map only when we find one or a couple of people who are just awesome. I can push capital, money, and the process of how we do it into wherever you are on the map. I need somebody that knows how to do it, how to work with the clients, the customers. And so we all say the same thing. It's so hard to find good help, right? But when you do, you're just like, oh, you get excited. And so you've got a team around you, but that's all at that location. So starting again somewhere else is, from a business sense, it makes sense on a spreadsheet, but it's very, very hard to do.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not encouraging you to do it.
Good.
Nor not.
My wife will love you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of my cool personality and dad jokes.
That charisma.
Yeah, right.
That Taurus energy.
Yeah. But there's an excitement about it too. So I'm going to go politician on you there and just play the middle ground.
Right.
Anything else we need to, have we taken a good hour of your time here? Anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit?
So
No? In that case.
how about you guys?
No, sorry.
He's turning the table.
No, I'm saying, don't ask me a question, man. This isn't your pod. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think one of the things that stood out to me, I went to your site because we were supposed to get together like months ago. And I went to your site. And what stood out to me was you just seemed community minded. You have some services that I thought about, like compounding. When you said compounding, I wasn't really understanding. Do you want to talk about what you do?
Yeah.
That's unique.
So, I mean, yeah. So like some of the services that we offer, early on when I opened the business, it said, do what your competition won't do. So our competition will not sort and organize your medications. That they won't get involved with it. They won't go near it. So early on, I bought a machine that was like, $225,000. And it sorts and organizes medicines in like these easy open tear pouches. So, I said, I want that machine. They said, well, you don't service nursing homes. I said, no, I want that machine to service people that live at their houses. And they're like, well, it's going to take you forever to get customers. You're going to get like one customer at a time. So that was 12 years ago. So they were right. It was a while. It took me one customer at a time, but we're at 700 now.
Wow.
And then we do some custom compounding. So, theoretically, majority of what we dispense in a day is poured from a larger bottle into a smaller bottle and then dispensed to the customer. But this is stuff that's kind of like made from scratch. So we might make like topical pain creams. We'll make low dose naltrexone into capsules. We'll make like solutions, like we'll turn tablets into like a solution for a child that might not be able to swallow a tablet. And we'll make suppositories. So compounding is kind of like an old school art form of pharmacy where we're making this, capsules or the cream from scratch. So that, that's convenient for people. Not many pharmacies do it, especially in our area. We'll flavor kids' medicines for free. At any given point, we'll have like 4 or 5 delivery drivers on the road. So we do like probably about 100 to 120 deliveries a day.
Really?
Yeah. So we have a huge delivery radius.
Wow.
So kind of like 15-mile radius.
Not to nursing homes or anything, but to actual houses.
Houses, yeah.
People can't get out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a big, that was a demand that I did not see coming when I first opened. We would slowly just, at first we would do it for free, but then I was like, oh my God, with the inception of DoorDash and, like reimbursements being so bad, it was something that we ended up having to charge a couple bucks for. But the demand for the home delivery is through the roof. Like we're constantly busy with delivery.
Uber Eats your medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, so like some of those services, like I said, are things that our competition won't do. So, we roll our sleeves up and get it done.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, you're a staple in the community for sure.
You're just a damn nice guy.
I know.
Everything Maria said about you. I appreciate you coming in, man.
It's been
great.
Fun. It's fun to come visit Tunkhannock and see that there's still a McDonald's that has a play area. And it's so McDonald's with a play area. It looks like come to the Tunkhannock.
Yes,
you might catch me. Yeah, I might be there once in a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Tom, for finally catching me to do this.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thank you for listening. If this conversation sparked something for you, please let us know. Follow, share, or leave a review. It helps us keep having the conversations we love that you love to listen to. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more real talk from real leaders. Until then, here's to feeling successful beyond the bottom line.